All right. Thank you for being here tonight. We have just one final scene for you, the choral reading. So this is called Your Verse in the Powerful Play. It is a collection, a word collage, if you will, of poetry and interviews and little blog posts that I found online that inspired me. And we really love it. And we're so excited to perform it one final time ever. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate having you guys come out to the show. It means a lot to all of us. Thank you. One final round of applause for Linwood King and Doug Dowler, please. Thank you. Okay.
I was hoping today to talk a little bit about creativity. You know, a lot of people struggle to give themselves permission to be creative, and reasonably so. I mean, we're all a little bit suspect of our own talents. If the orders to isolate ourselves and our homes have shown us anything in the last few years, it is that human beings turn instinctively to the arts when we feel things deeply. I believe we're on this here star in space to try to help one another, right? And first we have to survive, and then we have to thrive. And to thrive, to express ourselves, all right? Well, here it is. We have to know ourselves. What do you love? And if you get close to what you love, who you are is revealed to you, and it expands.
For me, it was really easy. I was 12 years old when I did my first professional play. It was called St. Joan by George Bernard Shaw at the McCarter Theater. And boom, I was in love. My whole world expanded.
I've played cops.
I've played criminals. I've played priests. I've played sinners. And the magic of this over a lifetime, over 30 years of doing this, is that you start to see that my experiences, me, are not nearly as unique as I thought. I have so much in common with all these people. And so they have something in common with me.
You start to see how connected we all are.
In university, a friend of mine was trying to convince me to do choir. And I thought,
no way will I ever do that!
But then I found myself in the room, sitting in the bass section. And we start with the Kyrie from the Requiem by Mozart.
And he raises his hands.
And then the 30 basses all take a collective breath.
And we launch into it!
I remember I started to tremble, and then I started tearing up, and I realized in that moment that I was hearing not music, but my name.
My true name.
Not Eric Whitaker,
but this name inside my body somewhere.
I remember it like it was yesterday. This counterpoint around me,
like a cosmic Swiss watch,
with humanity pooling into all the cracks.
110 people moving and breathing together.
And I left that room totally transformed after 50 minutes. It was one of the great experiences of my life, and I ask you, how would you create that great experience for yourself? How could you help create it for others?
I think about today, how I went around from painting to painting, asking each to eat me, and each did.
How my skin fits the whole time.
Didn't once bunch up at my ankles or squeeze my head into a pin.
I did 4 charcoal drawings from the permanent collection, a Chagall, a bronze mark, and 2 Picassos. I picked those because I could tell the paintings were looking at me as hard as I was looking at them. I walk over to the canvas, or maybe it's the other way around. Some paintings stay on a wall. Not this one. It's color flooding out of 2 dimensions, so I'm smack in the middle of it. I pick up the charcoal and begin to draw. The teacher sits down in the chair next to me and starts drawing. I'm aware of his hand flying across the page. It's stirring the air. He gets up and stands behind me, looking over my shoulder at my work.
Listen, you must see it, feel it, draw it. They're all one thing, not 3 things. See, feel, draw. 1 verb. Go now. Do not think. Picasso, he says, if only we could pull out our brain and use only our eyes. Pull out your brain. Use only your eyes. Go.
He says,
Go.
And then it's like I'm paddling through the break, watching a big wave swelling, coming toward me, knowing that in a moment it'll sweep me up into something enormous and powerful. I count down. 3, 2, 1. I go.
Faster.
He says, see, feel, draw. 1 verb.
Good. That is it. You will see with your hands. I promise you. Now, I contradict myself. Picasso, he does too. He says, pull out your brain. Yes, he also says, painting is a blind man's profession. And to draw, you must close your eyes and sing. Yes, everything is true at once. Life is a contradiction. We take in every lesson. We find what works. Okay, now pick up the charcoal and draw.
Most of us really want to offer the world something of quality, something that the world will consider good or important. And that's really the enemy, because it's not up to us whether what we do is any good. And if history has taught us anything, the world is an extremely unreliable critic. The great beat poet, Allen Ginsberg, was once asked,
Don't you know that everybody thinks you're an idiot? And the whole country's making fun of you.
and he said,
That's my job. I'm a poet, and I'm going to play the fool.
most people don't spend a lot of time thinking about poetry, right? They have a life to live, and they're not really that concerned with Allen Ginsberg's poems, or anybody's poems.
Until their father dies.
They go to a funeral.
You lose a child.
Somebody breaks your heart. They don't love you anymore. And all of a sudden, you're desperate to make sense out of this life.
Or you meet somebody and your heart explodes. You love them so much, you can't even see straight. You're dizzy. Has
Anybody ever felt like this before?
What is happening to me?
And that's when art's not a luxury. It's actually sustenance.
We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race. And the human race is filled with passion, medicine, law, business, engineering. These are noble pursuits necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. To quote from Whitman, "O me, O life, of the questions of these recurring, of the endless strains of the faithless,
Of cities filled with the foolish.
what good amid these, O me, O life?" Answer,
That you are here.
that life exists, and identity, that the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse.
That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse.
And it was at that age, poetry poetry arrived in search of me. I didn't know what to say. My mouth had no way with names. My eyes were blind.
Something started in my soul, fever or forgotten wings, and I made
my own way, deciphering that fire, and I wrote the first faint line, faint without substance, pure nonsense, pure wisdom of someone who knows nothing.
And suddenly I saw the heavens, unfastened and open. Planets, palpitating plantations, shadow, perforated, riddled with arrows, fire and flowers.
The winding night, the universe, and I, infinitesimal being, drunk with the great starry void.
Likeness,
Image of mystery, felt myself a pure part of the abyss. I wheeled with the stars.
my heart broke free on the open sky.
No matter what you gain, your ego will not let you rest. It will tell you that you cannot stop until you've left an indelible mark on the earth, until you've achieved immortality. How tricky is this ego that it would tempt us with the promise of something we already possess?
The dartboard hangs precariously on the wall in the study, between tall bookcases and ornately framed oil paintings.
It is almost camouflaged in the shadows despite its bold pattern, but the knife reaches its target each and every time it is thrown. Very near the bullseye that is obscured by a newspaper clipping pinned to the board.
The clipping is a theatrical review, an article carefully removed from the London Times. It is a positive review. Some might call it glowing.
The single sentence holding the name of the knife thrower is the one that has incensed him to the point of such violence. Reading.
He continues to push the boundaries of the modern stage, dazzling his audiences with spectacle that is almost transcendent.
The knife thrower focuses on that penultimate word. Almost.
Almost. Clearly he must be doing something wrong.
If my productions are merely almost transcendent, when the possibility of true transcendence exists somewhere nearby, waiting to be attained, then there's something else that must be done. A show without an audience is nothing after all, and in the response of the audience is where the power of the performance lives. Almost.
Almost. He throws the knife once more, showing no signs of stopping.
Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this orb. All else is just smoke and mirrors. Distracting, but not truly compelling. Risk being seen in all of your glory.
In this day and age, when it comes to artistic self-promotion, there is nothing more powerful than
Social media! Art is more accessible than ever, allowing boundless opportunity to creators and consumers alike.
Trends move at supersonic speeds across the globe. You can wake up and the mainstream of yesterday is already in the rear-view mirror, replaced by entirely new requirements.
You must keep up!
The internet, as a place to discover and connect, can be beautiful. Where artists once had to first get support of the art world's elite
Before reaching the moneyed masses.
today they use Instagram as their own virtual art gallery, playing both dealer and curator, while their fans become critics and collectors, witnessing the creative process in real time.
I can sell a painting before the paint is even dry.
But then there is the desperation, the self-comparison. In a world where anyone has the tools to be famous tomorrow, there becomes an infinite sea of artistic prospects to surmount. How can you possibly stay authentic and truly expressive while climbing to the top of that grinding impossible summit?
Now fear is going be a player in your life, but you get to decide how much.
So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality.
My father could have been a great artist, but he didn't believe that was possible for him. And so he got a safe job as an accountant, and when I was 12 years old, he was let go from that safe job. I learned many great lessons from my father, not the least of which was that you can fail at what you don't want.
So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love.
There is no path till you walk it, and you have to be willing to play the fool. We,
All of us,
revel in creating, whether we know it or not. It reminds us that we are not alone, even when we are isolated.
Art is, at its core,
an expression of humanity.
of the need to provide solace,
Of the desire to feel we're part of a world beyond ourselves.
It is an offering.
an outpouring of fear,
Or a sharing of wonder.
It is the human effort to give emotion wings, because grief is too big for our bodies, because joy is too big for our bodies. What will your verse be?
We'd like to introduce our director, Miss Loreena Hansen. Whoa! Double fisted! One more time! That was the sweep season. It's done. We did it. Yay. You almost made me cry. I just want to give one final shout out to this group of students who worked tirelessly day and night for weeks and months of this year. And just, it really, speech season is difficult. Like, it's not an easy thing to do, especially on top of classes and being, a senior or a student in general. And we are all going through things, and life is hard, and yet you showed up and you worked hard every single day, and that's all I ask, and you did the most incredible job, and you exceeded my expectations yet again, and you made it a second perfect year. Thank you so much.